Oops. Thought I had that fixed. One sec. Bam, there we go. All right, let's do a quick sound check, see if everything is kicking. Let's bring connect with Twitch. Clear? All right, cool. Let's get our giveaways. Let's do that one. And let's do a contest tonight. All right, so we are going to see. We're going to copy this one. We're going to do will non-farm. Let's drag this over here. Let's see. Will non-farm employment change be above or below 140K? Okay. We're going to say more than 140K and will be less than 140K. All right, so here's how you guys put this one in. All right, it is exclamation point and bet above, which means it'll be above 140, meaning more than 140,000 jobs. And exclamation point bet below means that it will be below. Okay, we're going to put this on for 300 is fine. Minimum bet is going to be 10 pip chips, maximum. And then send confirmation via entering. Great. Description, we will call this non-farm Wednesday. All right, ready? Bam. All right, there we go. So I'll have to handle that one tomorrow when I log into, I'll award that one tomorrow. It'll end in 5 hours, and then, that'll give you guys plenty of time to enter, and we will go from there. All right, let me drag Forex Factory back in. All right, let's see what we've got here. Sounds good. You might. Oh, I didn't post a link. You're right. Yeah, I've been kind of doing all kinds of stuff tonight. Hold on, I gotta find the right mouse. I will do that real fast. Let's see. Where's the other one at? Oops, I didn't do it. Yeah, it's one of those days. There you go. No, yeah, you do. Yeah, you got to talk about the number of points. So it'd be hashtag bet below and then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever you want to do. Be the correct way to do it. James is buying the big tickets tonight. Sounds good. Going for the home run swing tonight, disclaimer. I don't treat my brokerage account the same way. Lack of care. Ryan, well, that's why we have two tonight. We have the giveaway, but then we also have the contest. So the contest is, you guys have a 50-50 shot. You can do a little bit of analysis. James is already betting below. And again, do exclamation point, bet above or below, and then 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever. I got like 12 people just messaged me. James is having all kinds of problems. Here, I'll do it this way. Hold on, James. I will help James out here because he's having some issues with it. So let me log into Twitch here. Go in there real quick. So, how about those market moves today? There we go. Ernest got it. Why is it taking forever to load? There we go. Let's click here. Let's go live. Let's do this one right here. We'll do exclamation point bet above 20. There you go. James is like, I'm throwing it all in there. All right, there you go. Now you guys are getting the hang of it. There you go. That's the way to do it. So, yeah, it was below. Okay, I do believe I said multiple times that I expected it to be, didn't kind of expected that result. I didn't actually. I mean, in all fair, in full disclosure, I did not expect it to be 47.8, but I expected it to be like a 49.1. I expected us to be below 50, which people were like, "Oh, this is bad," but it was really bad. I got to say, I did chuckle when I got I got an email about the end of the day recap and somebody saying that they couldn't get short this market. I was like, really? I mean, come on. The market basically just went straight down all day. Just jump on that thing and ride it. Like, it could not have been a worse day for the markets, and it was the easiest play. Like, manufacturing slowing down, all heck is going to break loose, and it was just going to tank and just go through the floor. Like, yeah, it's just one of those days. It's like, just jump on, just ride this thing, man. This is like a snowball going downhill. Yeah, I ain't trading the rest of the week after today. Was that because it was good today, James? Or was that because it was bad? Hopefully because it was good. I mean, like I said, I'm pretty sure you were on board with that one. But like I said, I mean, it's just, I mean, hell yeah. Yeah, see, I'm telling you. Good. I'm telling you. This is not a small miss. This was a huge miss. And there was absolutely no positives whatsoever in this. I mean, there's only one direction it could have went today. Today is like one of those days. Once that number came out and it started dropping, just keep going. I mean, just yeah. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It just, just wow. You know. Let's see, what do we got here? Looking at a couple different things. Yeah, I mean, look at this thing. I love this. I mean, as far as the daily chart, look at that thing. I mean, just absolutely unreal. I mean, gotta love it, right? I mean, we're already in a downtrend, and here, and this is why I'm showing you guys this, right? Daily chart, right? Pretend this red candle doesn't exist. What state are we in? We are in a downtrend setup. So it was already set to go down. It pulled back up again. It literally spiked right up before news and was kind of holding at that peak. Bad news came out, wham, straight down. I loved it. 40 points straight down. So, I mean, yeah, you couldn't have had a much better setup on that one. But again, downtrend setup. We were looking for the short anyway. It pulled back up inside of a zone and bam. I posted the toss daily on ES in general. Okay. Yeah, but your charts are getting so busy. I can't see them. Remember, I have a concussion. I can't look at a lot of like flashing objects and moving, objects and things. Come on. With that being said, I am going to try to play on Thursday. Yeah, I am going to try to play on Thursday. I'm going to try not to, set any picks and try not to get my head slammed. I'm going to attempt to go to jiu-jitsu tomorrow, but probably maybe just to do some drilling and kind of see what they're teaching. I guess it's supposedly leg locktober, which I don't agree with, and I don't feel that we should attack anybody's knees because you get that one person that's a spaz, and next thing you know, you have knee injuries. Having a sore elbow is one thing. Having a sore leg is an entirely different thing. So, yeah. But this is what we got. So, looking at the overall markets for the day, right? Actually, there's a couple things I want to talk about today. Where is it? And there's another thing. A lot of Brexit news today. A lot of Brexit news. Where was the one thing? There was one earlier that I posted talking about the euro. Or actually talking about Brexit, but it was the euro talking about it. Let's see if I can find it. It came out this morning. No, that's not that one. Man, it's in here somewhere. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a bad one. If you guys have daily effects up. Okay. Oops, not that. This one talking about Brexit. One of those things they talk actually about price action here. I was like, yeah, I like price action. But again, there you go right there. PMI under 50. And again, it's actually on the uptick. And it's actually better than the United States, right? So it's kind of like, So again, some good articles today about Brexit. If you guys are interested in kind of studying up on Brexit, definitely some good articles out there on Brexit. All right. So looking at the overall, okay, again, not a lot that was flat today. There was a lot that was moving back and forth. The CAD number, again, down 30. But again, it's kind of one of those situations where we had CAD data that was bad, but then followed right away by bad. And when you have bad on top of bad, again, the ISM is much worse than the actual CAD data. So it's kind of one of those things. It was like, how are you going to handle that? If it was great US data, then obviously CAD would have just absolutely taken it on the chop. So, that would have been a great pair. It would have been way up. But again, negative, they kind of, they lessen the blow for lack of a better reason, or for,
better say. So you guys can see Aussie obviously had some good movement. Pound didn't have as much, but again, Pound has some issues, back and forth today with this and that, and Euro's going to do this, and Johnson's going to do this, and we're going to come up and things are going to happen in the next few days, and a lot of promises. And again, people are like, show me the real thing. One thing I do think is interesting too down here, you guys see this article, the JP Morgan cuts probability of October 31st Brexit to 15% from 40%. Thought that was pretty interesting. And like this last line, JP Morgan sees just a 5% chance that Johnson will succeed in negotiating a new Brexit deal, right? So not a whole lot of confidence in the new guy, right? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait. Like, I don't want the month to go too fast, but I'm actually really excited to see if this will ever come to fruition. If there will ever be a end conclusion in this whole thing. So as you can see, again, today data is what it is. Okay, going into tomorrow. Okay, biggest one is obviously going to be the non-farm employment change, and again, that's what we have the contest on. You can vote 10 pip chips or 20 or 30 or 40, whatever you guys like. Up and down. Remember, you split the winnings, the total winnings from that side. Crude oil, again, I think crude oil will be interesting this week. Just for the simple fact that, again, supposedly with less production, that supply is increasing. It's been almost 3 weeks now. I expect that supply to be coming totally back online. I don't think it would take them this long at all. But with it coming back online, it'd be interesting to see kind of what the data is showing, if we're going to increase our supply even more. Should be an interesting trade setup. Excuse me. Yes, I am exhausted today. For some reason, the one kid was on the electronics ban, and I don't know if he was messing with this old alarm clock thing that we had. We have a rule they're not allowed to leave the room before 7 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock this morning, this alarm went off and woke both kids up. And then obviously once I was awake, that was it. So long day, and obviously taking some meds for the nose. But yeah, so if I apologize, then I do apologize right ahead of time. But I think crude oil will be interesting. I want to see if we can build some supply or just kind of hit a target. Like I said, they've been forecasting negative, and now they're finally forecasting that we are going to have a surplus of 2 million barrels. So will be interesting. They're finally jumping more and saying, okay, maybe we shouldn't be negative, because they've been claiming negative. And yeah, it has been, but then it flipped on us. So we'll see going into that tomorrow morning. That would be more of a 2-hour binary than anything else. And then we have FOMC Williams. It's not really a big deal. And then we're kind of flat for the day. So I expect early movement. And then after that, we'll just kind of see. One thing I would watch out for, though, is I guess I actually heard on the way home that North Korea did shoot some missiles. This is why you're seeing kind of the dollar Swiss down. I guess they did shoot a missile into Japan's area in the sea. And Trump hasn't said too much about it, but I'm sure there'll be some comments. I don't know. We are meeting them next week, I guess, to talk about missiles or something. So we will see how that comes out. But there wasn't necessarily a response that I had saw yet. We will see kind of how that goes as well. But that, again, not surprised that pair is actually heading down right now, not up. Again, you shoot missiles, that's what that pair is for. Okay. All right, so let's jump into the chart. So like I said, today was really a news trader's dream. You don't really get much better than that. I had been talking about it. Everything I saw was showing that that's what we were going to have was going to be lower. Not this much lower, but again, pretty easy setup on this one. There was an explosion on the top side. Couple easy things, and we'll kind of go over that. All right. Let's go log in. I'm still working on IG, but just give me a free account. Just fund it for me, and then I'll use it. All right, so, okay, you guys will see this one. Let's start actually on the first one. Let's go to the top. All right, so you guys can kind of see where this one kind of went across. We had talked about having kind of a baseline target of this kind of basing area, right? This flatline area. And you guys can see right about here, right this morning, okay? News came out at today. You guys can see right here, 10 o'clock, okay? What happened with news? You guys can see that it was driving. And what did it do? At 9:30, it spiked straight down before the news was even out. And what did it do? Ran right into a level. And again, we'd marked this level off last night. This level is on a couple different pairs, but you're able to see it. Base, ascending wicks, right? Creating that buying zone. Dropped into it and off to the races, shot right up. It hit our profit target first off and then kind of pulled back and then continuing the drive through. Interesting thing about it is it did go higher. It did actually run into this supply zone up top and then kind of pull back. And again, not surprised. This is a nice little zone here. If you're drawing this, there is descending candles in here, and it's a nice little bit there, right? And that's kind of what it bounced off of, and it's done twice now, so not really surprised. The zone, difference between the two, again, had you been taking this, you're only talking about 15 pips, so not really something that you'd want to kind of trade back to the downside. And again, that also would have kind of halted our momentum breakout. Why? Because we know there's a selling zone that got respected right above where we were. Right, we did have the white space, right? We went from here up and down. So we had our white space triangle, but what did we do? Again, we hit an area of supply. It shot back down again. So it was actually a turning point. And again, you guys can see it didn't even retrace fully up, came back down again, made another attempt, but now we're hitting red again. So again, not a momentum breakout situation just because it turned off of a supply zone. It didn't turn off of kind of an exhaustion looking for more order. So again, just be cautious of that. Now, where we are now, again, I am bearish this pair. We are sitting not only in a 4-hour zone, obviously it coincides with a nice zone on the 30-minute, but we're also sitting inside of a 4-hour zone. It does get a little bit funky because, again, these are kind of these, again, it dropped, came back up again. Again, the wicks are exactly the same. Things are engulfed before we had this kind of push down again. We do have a single wick, but it's not actually a single wick if you look across. We're basically sitting here and we're in a double, which means there's no zone there. So a little bit misleading, and then same thing, we are in a double up here. So there's not really a ton above. It's going to be hard to kind of create a risk area for that one, but I am bearish this pair. I think we'll have a bit of a retracement. I don't know that tomorrow will be as bad as today. Today was overall a pretty bad day. Typically, when you have something this bad, you typically get a retracement. That's just how it typically works. Like I said, did we deserve the falling as far as we did? Probably not, but I mean, the markets have been more or less flatting, kind of watching and waiting and things like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, one of the other things too that I like is the fact that 65% of people are short right now, according to Daily FX, in those positions. If a majority of people are short and everybody believes it's going to get worse, who the heck has given them those positions? Okay, I mean, you can try to get short, but unless someone's willing to take the other side of the trade, it doesn't necessarily matter. So there's always missiles shooting around this time of year. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But the fact that it actually landed in Japan's, what's it called? It's like an I don't know, exclusive. It's like an EED or EZ, the exclusion or exclusive something zone, whatever. I think it's called the EEZ. It actually landed in their territory. So that'd be like if they shot, a missile into like our protected water around the country. I feel like we would get very upset about that. What's up, Vic? You made it. Good. I just gave the free lottery ticket away, Vic. No, just kidding. But yeah, so on this one, again, we're supposed to be back over here. For some reason, we jumped ahead of the euro dollar. But again, euro is in a kind of a sideways kind of holding pattern right now. I just wanted to get to this one real quick. But again, this was the burst that we had talked about. This was the easy play, and it's something that I put on Instagram. If you guys are not following us on Instagram, please go over there and do it. It helps us grow the channel. Really, if you guys could hit us on Instagram and YouTube, that would be a huge help. We are on Facebook as well, but I just use that as a portal right now that things get linked to it. I don't actually follow it too much, just FYI. But if you find us over there, we are there too. All right, so that's where we are with the euro dollar. I just wanted to get into this one because this one had rallied back up again. I was super excited that it came down, but this was just too easy of setup. I was super excited when I saw it. I was like, man, this is like clockwork. It's literally driving right into his zone right before time. You couldn't. I mean, there's just no other way. I mean, this is just an easy kind of setup for you guys. All right. So going back over to Aussie yen, you can see Aussie yen, obviously some movement, right? Now, what did I tell you guys about Aussie yen? What did we expect going in today, all right? We talked about this cash rate, and what did I tell you about the cash rate? I told you that even though it was already planned, we will see movement off of this one. Why? Because, again, it starts a chain reaction, and it's going to be the statement that they talk about, right? Well, the statement talked about that, and what did we see? We saw a price pop up, and what did it happen to run into? Well, we drew this zone last night, right? If price bounced up into that zone, I mean, remember we drew the blue, right? We drew the blue, right? Remember I said if we go up or bottom, that's where we wanted to get in. We'd want to take a short position or a long position, depending on where it hit. And again, the blue line was the start of the zones. Here, I will continue the zone across. Bam. Look at that. What did we do? Here's the rate. Boom. Smacked right into the sell zone. And what was the response? 125 pips to the downside on 11 pip risk. Okay. Couldn't have telegraphed that one anymore. Again, that's why we drew it the way we did. We talked about having a clean zone on the top, a clean zone on the bottom. Gotta love it. right? Gotta love it. I hope one of you guys got that one today too. Like I said, that one's a middle of the night trade, but again, gotta absolutely love that one. It couldn't have worked out any more perfectly on that one. Again, you could have set yourself with limit orders on this one. At the most, you would have had 11 pips risk. I think you would have went, 8 pips, 9 pips risk in this one. Again, you may have taken a little bit of heat, but again, that's the big deal, right? And then it not only went down, just collapsed. Okay, so where we are now, I am expecting this bit of a retracement, this bit of a pullback, right? Again, this is a very, very large drop. I mean, going 125 pips in basically one day, less than 1 day. The ATR on this pair is, you're talking about what? It's ticking up, but it's at 58. So it's over double what its ATR is in less than 24 hours. You're going to see some type of retracement. It's got to be like, whoo, hold on, what just happened? So it's kind of like a rubber banding effect, right? That much push, you're going to expect a bit of a kind of a rally back again. So not a rally, but we're going to see a bit of a pullback. And we're seeing that. It's just been grinding slowly. And, you guys look on the 30-minute, it's been grinding very, very slowly and kind of retracing back up again. From the low, you're talking about 20 pips. And it did that over like 12 hours. So we'll see what it does now. I mean, there are orders above where it is. It's getting ready in the 30 minutes to come up into an area. You'll see kind of right in here as well. Not necessarily surprised that that's what it's doing. Again, a lot of this too will have to do with what we see in the stock market tomorrow. Again, it is linked to the yen. Tonight, I don't believe there's any more news tonight. Trade balance may have a little bit of effect on it, not tons. Retail sales. So on Thursday is the next time that this pair will have really kind of a crazy night. And again, that'll be at 9:30, so it'll be kind of right in the middle of chart school. So we'll see if we have another setup to where, again, we had those 4-hour brackets on the top and the bottom side. I mean, that was a perfect setup last night. Hopefully we see it later on this week and you guys can get some money out of it. Yeah, so we'll see. Let's go across, look at Aussie New Zealand. Okay, now, again, Aussie New Zealand. Another thing that I mentioned last night, and again, does this one have the same kind of spike up and just complete collapse to the downside? No. And if you guys remember what I said last night about this one is, this one will not have the same kind of movement. Why? It's going to look differently because, again, the Aussie and New Zealand are somewhat linked. When one economy is bad, the other one. Now, again, it did drop, sure, but it didn't have that big spike up and then just the complete total collapse. There was a lot more area in here. And again, we talked about this area, this kind of bottom area being an area where we're going to have some stalling. And in fact, it only made it really into this zone. So didn't have kind of the same effect. Again, rally up. Actually, it's over in here. Yeah, I mean, you're talking right in here. So again, you did not see the kind of spike up before it kind of collapsed. It kind of came over and was already hinged up here inside of a demand zone, or inside of a supply zone. So wasn't a surprise. It collapsed right into this zone, kind of popped up again, wick behind the wall, dropped back down. So not as much movement. Again, linked economies is kind of what you're expecting. Now all eyes are going to be on New Zealand to see if they will do another rate cut, and we'll see what happens. Hold on, I'm playing catch up with chat here. Into the EC. Oh, look at Wealth Builder dropping 50 pip chips down. Ernest, you're gonna let him outbid you like that? Can't believe that, man. Whew. ES only went 4 points more today than Friday's range. When you see setup forming on a pair with no upcoming news, do you rely on ATR for the trend chart or the zone setup chart? I mean, even though there's no news, I mean, that's just the average. I use the ATR. I mean, typically what happens with news is you can see typically about a 60 to 70% move is what you can expect out of what the daily ATR is. But again, if there's no news for that day, it just means that it may take a little bit longer for it to undo, But I mean, I always look at the ATR the ATR is an average over the last 14 days. So, I'll always look at it what's possible. But again, it may just take a little bit longer time. For currency trading. For Nadex, if there's no news, then yeah, I will typically kind of take about, I will cut the ATR down typically when there's a non-news day. Just because, again, Nadex, you have the time expiration that you don't have with currencies. If that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. All right, looking at Aussie dollar. Why is my phone vibrating on the floor? Who's calling me now? So I'm telling you, being a lacrosse coach, I have my phone is literally like nonstop, nonstop like vibrating. It's crazy. No, not that. Where the heck? Hold on one sec, guys. There we go. All right. Let's see. Sorry about that. All right. All right. So Aussie dollar, same type setup that we had before, and you guys can see where did this one hit. You guys remember the zone that we drew last night? Same exact situation. What did it do? It shot right up, it touched the zone, and then it literally collapsed away. So this one looks more like the Aussie yen, and again, I mentioned that these two would look very, very similar. Basically the same exact setup in this one. You had that spike right ahead. It went all the way up, hit the 4-hour zone that we were talking about last night, and then continued to drop all the way to the downside. This one had a little bit sharper of a retracement, and it was kind of interesting, right? Kind of came down, it based, and then bam, it picked up, right? About 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And again, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning was anticipation for U.S. news. What did it do? It came all the way down here at 10 o'clock, and then what happened? Bad U.S. data. And then boom, it rallied right back up again and kind of went to this level of basing. But you'll see it didn't retrace back to where it was before. So this would have been the time just to make sure that you know people understand this. Had this been your zone, and again here, let's move this all the way across, right? That's where we were talking about before. Very, very small area. Big question is, why would you have gotten out here? Well, very simply, you have your profit, you have 104 pips locked in again, you have a high-profile news release, and again, it was starting to push down before news, right? 9:30. It is just driving straight down, and news is coming. You have 104 pips on. What are you possibly waiting for? Take your position off, take your money, and go home. Okay? So yes, in this one, you could have taken yourself off before the news and literally tagged the exact bottom of this trade and captured the entire bit. You guys can see the zone we talked about before was only about 8 pips. So risking 8 to make 104 to the downside. Again, excellent risk to reward setup. Okay, this is why news trading is such a fun thing. You guys can make some big pips and just be out and be done, right? Even for the week if you really wanted to, you know, depending on what your goal is. And again, Aussie dollar. Okay, if you guys don't know, let's use this handy tool over here. Aussie dollar is $10 per pip. So with that being said, this was a $1,040 trade. Okay, just in this pair on $80 risk. Okay, $80, $86 actually, I guess, because it was 8.6 pip risk. Okay, and it didn't spend a lot of time there. You almost took no heat whatsoever. Move this just a little, move these out of the way so you guys can see. I mean, how much heat did you hit? Basically none. Okay, you would have gotten triggered. It did go above, right? Not by much, but again, that spread would have kept you in this trade, and you would have been able to grab 104. Yeah, if you didn't have it already set up ahead of time, you were done, right? Yeah, it was fast. But that's what happens. I mean, think about it. If there is someone, just think about it this way. If there, and remember, this is why we use technology, okay? If there's an order for selling 1 million shares as soon as it hits that price, it will not go higher. The second it hits that, man, all the volume will literally flood in there and it will just retreat and run as fast as it can away from that order. And that's what happened. That's why it didn't last long. That's why it literally came up, dinged that zone, and left. That's why you got to be ready for these a lot of times. If you're waiting and sitting there going, you got to be cautious. Happens very, very fast. Okay. All right. So where we are right now, again, we are kind of at an equalization point in this one. I think U.S. traders will have to step in tomorrow. Again, we'll see some of the news in the morning and see how that kind of affects it. Definitely some nice little zones put in here on this one. One thing that is a little bit more difficult in the 4-hour is going to be a top zone. Literally because it spiked all the way up and came all the way back down again very, very fast. It wiped out this whole area, so we know we have nothing clean until this 67.75. But unfortunately, there's not going to be a lot of analysis until we get back up to that zone. So that's kind of the one negative about this one is we don't really necessarily have a lot to the top side. Just FYI. All right. Going across to the pound Aussie. Now, will the pound Aussie have the same kind of ISM move? No. But again, what did it have? It had this drama, right? It's actually over here. It's right here. Okay. Now, what did this one do? Well, here it is right here. Tuesday at 03. That's when it came out. What did it do? Went down, and again, here's the 2 dotted lines we had for the bottom, for this bottom zone. Look at this on the 4-hour. Boom, all the way up, back over to the top side. Okay. Now, drew this one pretty close, right? We're right here. Came down, triggered, came up, and almost touched the top side. So it got close. It got real close, but didn't quite get all the way over there. All right. But again, hit that zone we were talking about being on the bottom side. That zone's been there for a while. I believe that was off the 4 hour. You can see the single wick over here. Yeah, it's right here. You guys see the descending wicks back on the 4 hour? That's the zone that was marked off. And again, because it was so far back, I didn't draw a box. I used the dotted lines because it automatically goes to the end of the chart. But you guys can see coming across. What did it do? Tag, boom, all the way back up again. Okay, it needed orders. It needed to wipe all these people out, get something cheap, and then boom, shot higher. Okay, and so same thing. Okay, there are spikes literally on everything, and all it's doing is banging off 4 hour zones on every single time frame. Okay, 4 hour zones, 4 hour zones, 4 hour zones. All right, hopefully you guys got it. 4 hour zones are important. All right, looking at euro pound. So look at all this drama, right? You guys can see all this stuff here, right? Tuesday comes all the way up, goes sideways, and then comes back down. So kind of an interesting little move here. Kind of like a waterfall, right? Kind of goes up, 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 up. It's like a roller coaster, right? Up, 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 and then boom, slam right back down again. It did go back to the start of the move, just FYI. Okay, again, we had this bit of a movement, retracement, and then collapse, and the collapse went right back to where? Right where your profit target is supposed to be. Man, I'm telling you, this angle is like, this monitor's at an angle. It's going to drive me nuts when those aren't straight. I need just like a horizontal line thing for that, not the full one, but just a little one. But again, came right back to the retracement. So again, this one is kind of a planned kind of descent. Hasn't done much since that time, popped, and then again, we are basing sideways inside of these kind of blue things. I'll get these out just so we don't confuse people on those. Get rid of some of these lines here as far as erasing those things. Really right now, I mean, again, we are basically sideways. The problem with this one now is now we are in Brexit territory when people are releasing plans, and when Boris Johnson releases his plan, yes, this thing will move. When, the parliament denies it, it's going to move. When the euro makes a comment about it, it will move again. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of economic data right now. And unfortunately, this jumping back and forth is kind of what we expected to see inside of Brexit news. But at the same time, makes our analysis even a little bit harder as well. But again, I like these big spikes up and down are not, they're pretty fun to trade, right? Because again, you have decent movement in it. All right. Let's go across to euro yen. All right. So what did euro yen do today? Not much. Not much. You guys can see over here. It's still basing itself, sitting right on that purple zone. It's just riding across. Again, a little bit of a pullback. We had a downtrend setup. Warned you guys, careful of the downtrend setup because we were right inside of a zone. It did push down, came back up again, and is again riding on the top. So, I mean, there was about 20 pips to be made from basically the top of this zone to this level here. Actually, it's not even that. We're talking about 10 pips, right? This is a 30-minute chart. You guys can see we're at, no, I guess it's a little bit more than that. We're at 1780 here, and we're at 1808. So maybe 25 pips probably is the area that we went in. And then you can see really since 12 o'clock today, really from 11:30, about 10:30 after the news kind of hit this 20 pip spike, sideways. Nothing, just absolutely sideways. Again, this bottom level needs to be cleared. We need to grind into it a bit more and kind of take more of the orders out of here. Until that time, there's really nothing to really look at on this one, right? We're talking about, if we can get a break and then kind of get the white space, we just don't have it. It's just not there. So we'll see what can happen with this one. Right now, it's nothing. We already did euro dollar. Look at euro Aussie. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. All right. All right, so this is an interesting situation. We did go slightly higher than where we thought. Now, euro Aussie is a bit of a different pair. Okay, this is spread is going to be a little bit bigger. It's going to be 4.5 pips on this one. We are kind of at the upper top of again, price literally spiked all the way to the top. It did actually breach through the zone before it turned up, right? So it started to move away, and then next thing you know, at last night, super late, it spiked beyond again into an area where there really wasn't much, and then launched itself higher. So had you been long this one, it did actually go past where our profit target was. Again, this is the volatility of anything that's included with Brexit. And again, this has the Aussie in there too. So you guys will see right here is the Aussie news. So again, it went down, went up, and then kind of has moved over. So very volatile spring, very, very hard to be able to grab this one. Again, we talked about it last night. This one was not as close because we were literally between, you guys remember the rock and a hard place, right? We were between two zones, and it breached up, came, touched bottom, hit the next one, and then it launched through. But it had just eaten the other two up. And again, these are 30-minute zones, not necessarily the strongest. So same reaction. Playing the Aussie News though, what would you rather do? Pay 4.5 pip spread, or would you rather pay the 1 to 3 pips on these two pairs? Those other two were much better setups on this one. Same reaction though, spike down, collapse up. Now, this retracement has been very, very slow. I do expect a bit more of a retracement on this one. As you can see, though, on the daily, it did actually hit this level of basing here. Okay, we hadn't marked this one off. Like I said, this pair is there's select times to use it. This would have been my third or fourth option of how to trade Aussie in this situation. So it wouldn't have been my first one. We probably didn't look at it. And again, you would not have gotten in a retracement type scenario, as well as it's not a Nadex based pair. So another reason why you may have been a little bit more hesitant. But again, you guys can see we are starting to push around. Okay, haven't really got the cleanest confirmation entry in here. Really, I'm trying to look at this candles even. I mean, there's not even really. I don't even know if I consider. No, I mean, because this green is above, so we really haven't actually truly gotten a confirmation entry in here yet, which is kind of sad. But again, I do believe that, again, we are in order to kind of take this back over. And again, profit target would stay down here at 161.67. Really the start of this move, right? Where we were last night in this move. But again, did it work? Yeah. Again, this one you would have gotten stopped out most likely just because of the volatility of it. But again, third or fourth, this is probably your third or fourth option to be able to trade that news. All right. And again, it's not a Nitix based pair, so you may not have looked at it. All right. Moving to the pound yen. You guys can see a pretty steady drop in this one, right? And then we basically retraced. Again, this is what we've been kind of used to. Large spike down, you guys can see, started it at basically 7 o'clock this morning. Push down, push down, push down, push down, and right about noon is where we got the kind of the flip back up again. Again, this is why we see that there's not a lot of true movement for the day. It's only down 40, even though you look at this and you're like, wait a second, what? And again, still basically going sideways. We are finally starting to burst a little bit out of the range, which is nice. But again, you guys can see, what did it do before the drop? At 3 a.m. this morning when the market opened, it came back up. Now, I would say that this was probably a risky short if you took it, right? Again, at 3 a.m., you guys can see what was going on. Okay, you guys will see. Actually, there really wasn't a whole lot down there. So yeah, that's just the European market coming online. But again, we had 1, 2, 3, and this is number 4. But number 4 at the open was enough to drive this thing down. And again, pretty nice little move, right? Again, not something that I probably would have stepped into, so I don't want to make you guys think I did. But it's 137 pips, so again, was it a viable setup? It was a downtrend setup, right? It was a downtrend over here, set up into a 4-hour zone. Yes, it was the fourth touch though, which kind of reduced its probability to me. But again, it was worth 137 pips before the retracement. So if you had been up for the London Open, there was a trade there. I did not take it. Excuse me, that's card number 2. Oh, man, I'm dying over here today. But again, there's the strategy. Downtrend setup, 4-hour daily, right at the London Open. Okay, looking at pound dollar. Drinking some chamomile tea. I'm loving this stuff. Oh, we broke it already. Let's log back in again. All right, so as we mentioned in this one, again, this is a rock on hard place trade. What did we do? We went down to the rock and we went all the way back up to the hard place. Okay, so not too much really to say about this one. Again, very, very end of it, and that's what I mentioned. Again, we wanted to driving in is good. At least we know that we've cleared the area now. But was this necessarily tradable? Yeah, I mean, up down. Are there other things that look better? Sure, right? Sure. And again, I mentioned, if you guys remember, I mentioned last night, if there was going to be dollar, if it was good U.S. data, I was going to trade it against the pound because the pound is the weaker of the two. But if it was weak U.S. data, I was going to trade it against the euro. Why? Because the euro is the stronger of these two pairs in my eyes recently. So was this as good a reaction? Was a little bit harder to get into. I think the euro reaction was much, much better. You guys can see this started collapsing at 7 o'clock this morning. And then again, here's your 10 o'clock news, and that kind of reversed it, right? But again, this was dollar strength, dollar strength, dollar strength, dollar strength, but it was deep into a zone, right? I mean, could you have gone long in it? Sure, same trade, but it did kind of go outside of the zone just a little bit. You can see it even here, just again, bringing it across. You can see it just broke the very, very tip of it. So of the two, it was more of a euro play for me when we saw price dropping down. And again, because it was bad for the US, euro is where I wanted to play because the euro in my eyes is the stronger of those two. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. But again, rock and hard plays, hit the top, sit in the middle. We'll see tomorrow. I'd probably, I don't know if I'd use that top zone anymore. As you guys can see, this one went almost all the way through. This one went almost all the way through as well. So if there's any orders, it's probably sitting in the very, very top section of it. But I think we're starting to expend the amount of sellers on top. So just be slightly cautious with that one. This one, I like it. I'm a little bit more bearish to the downside. I think we can get continued, if we can get some continued kind of pound weakness in this one, I do like this one coming back down in the 121s. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now, is we can get there. But we're needing a little bit of help with it. We need some good US data, something good to kind of drop that down. Now, with that being said, okay, with the horrible manufacturing number today, okay, the Fed is going to have to be like, maybe we do need 2 rate cuts, okay. Something like a confirmation of having 2 additional rate cuts could absolutely, without a doubt, start messing with this. And again, I'm sure other manufacturers are also saying, wait a second, the U.S. manufacturing was bad. This could be bad for us too. So again, a lot of people are going to be looking at this number, but something like that, some type of statement like that is really what could give us some catalyst that, where they're pop us back up, which again, I don't think there's any reason in the world that we'd have pound strength. I think it's more likely that it'd be pushing back down into the slower 121s. That's what I'm looking for. Look at pound New Zealand. Again, pound New Zealand had a little bit of a violent reaction, right? Over here. Again, the 7 a.m. And what do? We switch right here about the 10 o'clock. We started to kind of flip and turn in the opposite direction. Very similar though. What do? We retrace back up and then kind of stabilize right in the middle. So really no trade setups on this one. Again, this would be a pound-based position. What is it? Thursday, I think. Oops, not that one. Not the third. Wait, is it third? No, that's services. I thought we had one more news release for them. Maybe we don't. I thought we had one more, and it's not this guy. Anyway. All right. So again, this pair, pound New Zealand. There's not really going to be a whole lot for this one. I'd probably be a little bit cautious just because this one, when it moves a lot. Looking at New Zealand dollar. Okay. Now you guys can see here. Where's this spike at? Why did this spike happen? Right? Why did this spike happen? This is New Zealand. There was no New Zealand news. What did I tell you? New Zealand and Australia are associated. And what did it do? It popped up. It grabbed that zone we were talking about for 10 pips, and it ran. And what did it do? Right here at 9:30, this is the same exact setup, right? There's your 10 pip risk. There's your entry with almost no heat into the trade. And there's your 9:30 candle right before the news, 64 pips. So a 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade on this one. Okay. Right there. There you go. So even though it wasn't New Zealand news, what did we do? We marked off the zone. It went up. It touched it, collapsed. You're 64 pips in a profit right before a major news release that includes the US dollar that is going to move this thing one way or the other. Get yourself out, grab your 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio, and you are done. Okay. Now, we are we did not push all the way back up. This zone for me is probably still valid. It only went about 45. It's not even quite 50, but about 45% of the way through the zone. So I would say it is still valid at this point. Is it going to have a big move again? We'll see. I mean, again, we'll see what the non-farm payroll numbers tomorrow look like. I don't know that this would be the number one pair. This may be like 4 or 5 down the list. But you have to see what it looks like, see what the reactions are, see what direction it kind of moves in. Unfortunately, in the 4-hour, because of that spike with the long wick, it just, you're not really going to be able to pull the zone off the bottom. The only thing we have clean is above, so we really need to spike up before we can go back down to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for in this one. Looking at dollar Swiss. What? A red day? Yeah, well, that's what missiles do, right? And remarkably enough, that's also what daily supply zones do. Now, could I have predicted this? That missiles were going to be shot? No, not that much. But you guys can see it went all the way back down, and we're literally sitting right above where the profit target is. for this one, this push. Yes, we'll see. There's where the explosive push happened from. But isn't that funny? Missiles are shot. They must have said, hey, listen, we're sitting in a daily supply zone. Quick, somebody shoot missiles, right? So, yeah, it's moving back again. But like I said, I told you guys before, Ernest all week has been like making money off this one, right? He's like, yeah, it's going, it's going, it's going. Like he's taking Ty's new role, right? And then today he's like, oh, this thing can move. Well, yeah, when something geopolitical happens, that's what happens. This is a geopolitical pair, you know? You guys can see, again, this one, 9:30, same thing, and started the push to the downside. It was weakness. But again, it coincided with a bunch of different things. It just happens to be we're in a demand zone. And why did this all of a sudden move? Let's see. Talking about 91 pips, right? This has one of the lower ATRs. It does double. Like you think this one has more exposure to trading? Like what type of trade exposure does the Swiss have? Like if we go into a recession, are people going to send money to Switzerland? No. But again, it moves. It moves when it wants to. But again, off a daily zone. Now, hopefully, Ernest, you got the short as well. Like I said, this one rallied way up there, and then really started its retracement. I mean, really, we've been all morning. We're kind of sitting in there, and it was really starting to push back. And then, really, at 10 o'clock, it's really where it got its momentum. But it was already starting to push back down again. I mean, there was some trades in here as well, a little bit earlier. Your wick over wick is actually right here. I'm sorry, your confirmation color change, green, red to the downside, and that held just fine. Okay, so you could have got into that one actually even earlier. All right. And again, there's the box that I talked about overtaking. All right, dollar CAD. So dollar CAD would be a little bit squirrely today. Now, interesting enough, dollar CAD did rally up. 8:30, what did it do? It was pushing higher and higher and higher. And again, why? Why was this kind of pulling back and then going higher? Well, pretty simple. CAD news was bad, right? Horrible CAD news. GDP, not only was it lower, but it was a miss even lower. So it was like a lower trade, right? It was on the low. And that's why I continued to drive higher. We went right back up to 132. And then what do we do? US data came in, bam, slammed it right down. And what did it do? It dropped it right inside of a supply zone. All right, inside of a demand zone, I'm sorry. Right? And it hit it, it bounced, it hit it, and then kind of based. And again, it did grab some orders. You could take a momentum breakout to the bottom side of this one. But I think tomorrow with some U.S. news and some crude oil data, I may want to wait and kind of see what we have. We should probably be able to push through and get that retracement, get that little triangle drawn this morning, but we'll see when we get down there. Good thing about this one is we are finally, again, this is finally a candle that is closing with not a wick on the top or the bottom, so that's not bad. I want it to continue to kind of drive, like just get rid of all this junk, right? This spike up in here to basically 133, we've cleared a lot of this junk on the way. So we know there's a little bit up top, and we know we're starting to drive towards the bottom. So not a bad place to be in, okay? I'm liking that we finally got some movement. Again, Friday is another big day for U.S. and Canadian data. You guys look across. Friday. Trade balance, which is going to be very important. Okay, and again, the trade balance data has been slightly off, you could say, right, the last couple of times. But then we have all the non-farm data. Okay, now I'll say it on Thursday, but I do have a feeling that this number is going to change this time. Okay, I just have a feeling that it's going to change. Talk about throwing the weekend into like just craziness, right? But again, we'll see where we go with this. Again, I'm probably a bit more bearish in this position right now. Looking at dollar yen. What do we have here? Okay. All right. You guys can see same thing. Okay, we pushed up in the demand zone at about 4:30, supply zone about 4:30. We kind of pulled back, and then what do? We rallied up. 9:30, pushed up one more time, didn't go as high. Number came out, boom, straight down. And where do we go to? Right inside of a demand zone. Okay. Hold on one sec. My daughter's screaming in the other room. I was like, wait, what is that? Very, very fast reaction as well. This is, again, a very easy Nadex pair to trade. We marked it off last night. I mean, this is This drop right when it slammed down was worth what? About 70 pips. So again, not a bad kind of retracement down. This is a Nadex pair. This was a Nadex trade today. I mean, you're talking about 3-4 strike prices to the downside in a matter of an hour, 2 hours. I mean, had you taken a 2-hour binary off this one, again, it was 10:30. So, but you had to be out by 11, which is right here. So you're basically looking at movement of this right there. Actually, it's there. It's there. Okay. So again, little bit of a spike up, which helps, right? Because we were up in this range. Okay, right before news, we were getting spikes up in this range, up in 108.43ish, right? Or 108.40. And what do we do? By the time this expired, we were down here at 108.75. So you're talking about over three strike prices to the downside by the time that one expired. And again, most of that would have came when this thing dropped 40, 50 pips within the first hour. Okay, that's where you would have really seen a lot of the volatility and everything. That's where the money would have made. So it does. What if non-far payroll is below? It's not so much what the number is if it's above or below. It's kind of what the market expects it to be. So that's the thing about news is if you look at different websites, the forecast will actually be listed differently. Okay, a lot of it is more trying to figure out what has the market kind of factored in. So an example being like a couple of times ago when there was a rate cut, the forecast was 0.25. Okay, so everybody knew, and all the percentages, everybody knew it was going to be at 0.25. The market actually wanted more. Okay, so people were like, it's probably going to be this, but it really needs to be this. Okay, so even though it came in as forecast, the market was disappointed that that's what they did, and then they reacted accordingly to it. Now, they ended up dropping another 25 later on anyway. That's where the last rate change came from. So a lot of it is more about understanding what the sentiment is. The number itself doesn't actually matter. It's what does the market feel is there. If the market's expecting 140, great. 140 can be confirmed, but if 140 is bad compared to what it's supposed to be at this time of year or what a healthy economy should be, it doesn't necessarily. There's more factors in it. That's why it's important to understand where is it going. Is it shooting into an area? Because at the end of the day, the big money doesn't really care where what the news is. They're just looking to see if they can catch people on things. The reason why price moves up is because they're trying to get it. They're trying to short it, but when they want to short it and when they sell it, they want to take in more money and then have to replace it with much cheaper stuff. So it's kind of one of those things. You can't say if it does this, what's it going to do? You got to say, well, where am I? Because the news can be horribly bad, right? But if you're sitting in a demand zone where there's a lot of buyers because of the psychological position, it's not going to move as much as you think it is. It's going to go down. It's going to grab something that's going to shoot off in the other direction. And then all the retail traders are like, why is it going up? It's supposed to go down. Well, very simply, yeah, the big money was there to take your money because you did what it was supposed to do. So just be cautious about, if it's bad, what's this? But I will say this. Think about it on another level, okay? Don't think so much about the U.S. JPY because again, here's why this is more of a complicated situation. If non-farm payroll comes in at 25,000 tomorrow, that is a bad economic factor for the United States, right? That's basically saying, holy crap, the unemployment situation is going to start going crazy. This is bad for our economy. So you would expect the stock market to start collapsing. But what you have to think of is what is the Fed's way to lower the impact of the recession? The way to lower the impact is to lower interest rates, which stimulates the stock market. It makes lending cheaper, but it also makes more money for banks and corporations and everything like that. They get to kind of helps their profits. So a lot of times, bad news, if it's leading, like right now, the only kind of bullets that the Fed has is to lower the interest rates. Okay, now with all that being said, okay, just to throw another kind of monkey wrench into this fire, what happens next week when Trump meets with China and they end the trade war? Are all those fears of recession bad? So you can really run yourself in multiple circles. That's why it's important to understand where are buyers, where are sellers in the market. Look at the chart and have the chart tell you what you're going to do. Use news as a factor. And again, news is a catalyst that will drive it to a zone faster, but it's not going to change the overall trajectory of anything. Okay? That's the way oil has been reacting to inventories. Yep. Yeah. Whenever anybody says it was supposed to do something else, who says? Market's about buyers or sellers, not what the news says. Okay. But where we are right now with low interest rates and rate cuts and everything like that, obviously it's going to react a little bit differently versus when we have like, we're talking about 4% interest rates. Little tiny bit different there, right? So, all right. Last but not least, let's look at CAD yen. I have no idea who that person is. I just got another follower on Instagram, and I don't know. I can't even figure out what it says. All right, so looking at this position, so today got a little bit funky with this one. Again, you like to have this one be clean when we're using this to trade oil. Problem is, again, with the CAD news today, we had the spike up and we had the spike down, and it went off zones. I mean, you guys can see, right? I mean, here was a nice little pop. Again, ascending candles, large explosive move, came back down again, hit it, pop right back up. But problem is there anything clean right now? Unfortunately, this is something we're going to have to drop and use on lower time frames. I don't see anything really clear because we're really just, I mean, if you look the last couple of days, we really haven't a lot of movement. ATR is now down to 50. It's kind of collapsing below. This up top is making it difficult. I don't really necessarily like that. Looking at the lower time frame, No, I think we're gonna have to go early in the morning. I think it's gonna be an early morning one, and we'll use a 30-minute and use that as like it's a 2 hour. See if we can get up, because right now, again, if we're taking this as the high and this is the low right now, the current kind of curve of this one, we're really in the middle and we're sitting right where a gap is. So technically speaking, it should be a sell based off of this gap. I was hoping this one would have a better setup this week. Not there. We're gonna look at that one in the morning, I think. All right. So with that being said, let me pull this guy across. We'll do this one over here. Go across the crude oil. Don't know if you guys saw this or not. Mark this off. So a little bit of a spike down today. Again, not entirely unexpected. Okay. We were sitting, I talked about this, I guess this morning. We were sitting in demand zone on the daily, and we still kind of are there. I mean, if you guys see it, right? Again, we were talking about the first one being here, and here's a second one. This is kind of what I would be looking out for right now. Would be this. Okay. So again, we are getting low in the curve. I do see some type of a spike happening here. We'll see how much farther down we can go. Again, this is on a daily basis. Again, the full retest of the drone strike is obviously gone. We need to go a little bit lower though, but we'll see. I just feel that anything below 50, I think again, 52.50 is a psychological level. It's a 5.0. We'll see if we're able to get too much lower than that. I mean, that's $2 below where we are right now. Obviously, with it being green right now, we are in a downtrend setup situation. But I mean, there's really not any orders until we get a little bit higher. I mean, even dropping that down to like a 30-minute. You guys can see right here. Okay. What are you really looking at, right? I mean, got a little bit up here at 54.65, about 50 cents higher. It's not a bad area. I mean, we're sitting in a zone right now too. A little one right here. But nothing, it's not great. I'm thinking if we can get up into this 56, 60 range, that would probably be a sell. If we can get up that far. If we're up there for news, then I may potentially be looking at that one. Yeah, it's probably the best we got right now on it. I can see it right now a little bit better. But we'll see. Again, like I said, we're in the middle of the night right now. So, I mean, as far as the oil market goes, best look at that, kind of see where we are, where it's placed. Again, this thing can definitely move in the middle of the night. A lot of people are like, oh, no, I'll look at it right beforehand. Definitely make sure you have the overnight data on there because that'll definitely help. Again, we have lows down here, 53.36. And again, top side. Again, this one's always good for a news breakout of some sort. Okay. But again, right now it's, on the daily, you guys can see we are sitting in right there. Basically right around 53 is going to be a big area. About $1 cheaper than where we are. Okay. Do I consider volume during those events? No, I don't care. I don't typically ever care about volume. because you actually can't see real volume no matter what chart you're looking at. With technology, there is no way for you to see the true volume. Anybody that tells you that you can absolutely has no idea how the markets actually function. There is no indicator that will show you what an iceberg, where an iceberg order is inside of the system. And banks and institutions only use those type of orders. They have technology that literally can throw orders in faster than your eye can process them. So you will never be able to see orders in the system. You can see them after the fact, but at that point, it's already too late. Who cares? And you have no idea how many are still sitting there. Yeah. And that's one of the things everybody's like, oh, level 2 data. I can see it. No, you can't. Because I'll tell you right now, if you knew that Goldman Sachs was trying to offload 200,000 shares or a million shares somewhere, you'd be able to manipulate that price and give them, you'd basically be able to front run them all day. They would never get those orders filled if you knew Goldman was in a position trying to get out or trying to get in. And think about it. Oh, if price hits 50, we're going to buy, 5 million shares because that's a great price to get in. You know how many people would be at $50.05 to get in before Goldman Sachs because Goldman Sachs was going to buy it if they could, if they were guaranteed to buy them? No, I mean, they're not going to tell you. They're not stupid. They know that you guys are looking at it and you'll pay or maybe get it free from your broker. But they're not dumb. They know you have access to, you guys can see the level 2 data and, the sales data. Sure. You guys ever wonder, like, when you're looking at that tape that's scrolling over, like how every so often there's something that's out of order, that's a big block order that gets put in after the fact? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Those get recorded later. They're not up to date, so it's not actually noted on a lot of things. Yeah. Black market for stocks. It is a rigged market. But if you don't know that it's rigged, then it's your own fault. I mean, if you think it's a fair market, that's totally up to you. But again, remember, I don't have to beat the people that are rigging the market. I have to beat the people stupid enough to not realize that it's rigged. Right? I mean, it's entirely legal to rig it. It's not illegal to have money and say, I'm going to buy everything when it comes to this price. I mean, that's not illegal. You just have to understand that it's manipulated. But everything in life is manipulated. That's what it is, guys. It is what it is. It's all manipulated. But remember, it's like the saying, I don't need to be faster than the bear. I just need to be faster than you. Right? It's all that matters. All right. So with that being said, let's shut this down. Let's go over. I will give you guys, look at this. Everybody's like, guys are all, look how negative you guys are. 67% of you like, lower. It's going lower. It's going lower. I honestly hope it goes higher. Someone's going to make bank tomorrow when this goes higher. Yes, bears are quick. But again, I don't have to be faster than the bear. I only need to be faster than you. Right? All right. So we have 8 people in for the giveaway. I will give you guys about another 30 seconds. Bears are dangerous. Yes, I love some of those bear videos. But then again, like my favorite movie scene of all time was The Great Outdoors when the bear's jumping on him. He's like, big bear, big bear, big bear chase. Let's see. So Ryan went in for 3. So we'll see what Ryan's able to do here. If Ryan wins, man, you guys are going to be betting nonstop. It'd be pretty crazy. Big bear chase me. Big bear chase me. Fast. All right, ready? I'm going to close it down. And the giveaway is closing in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. I'm only familiar with Yogi Bear. 4, 3, 2, 1. And closed. And draw the winner. Oh, geez. Ryan had a 27 point. I'm like, wait, he had a 2,000% chance of winning. He had a 27.27 chance of winning. And guess what? He won. That's so funny, though. Yep. So Ryan had 3 tickets tonight in the drawing. He spent some extra pip chips to win. And he did it. Go, Ryan. That's so funny. Mark is complete. Go to the leaderboard. Let's give Ryan some chips. Where's Ryan? There's Ryan. And again, Ryan did the mentoring, so that's why his total is low. I didn't erase Ryan's totals. Ryan ended up doing he did the mentoring session. All right, guys. So with that being said, have a good evening. Good trading tomorrow morning. Make sure you watch out. Make sure you protect yourself. Again, if you have profitable positions on, think about what is happening next. And again, if you're in a profitable position, you're up over 3 to 1, and non-farm is about to happen, get yourself out. There's no reason to be in that trade. It just doesn't make any sense in the world for you to be in that trade if that's what you're dealing with. All right, especially if you're inside a nice profit. All right. So I'll see you guys on Discord tomorrow. And if you have any questions, shoot me messages. If not, I will catch you guys same time tomorrow night. Take care.